which is great. Okay, fantastic. So, as per usual, I am here live with you on a Wednesday. I try and do these once a month. I think I totally missed last month. Sorry about that. I'm gonna try and hold on a second. You can enjoy my really pretty color-coded bookshelf for a second. Well, more of you join in as well. I'm just gonna try and move this light a little closer because nobody likes shadows. I haven't done a live in this direction before. There we go, that's better. Hello, hi guys. Thanks for joining. Much better. I'm a little less dark. Maybe I'll just scoot a little closer too. Okay, so we're gonna talk about a few things today, but I got a handful of questions that came in ahead of time, so I'd love to answer those first. If you have a question and you didn't send it in, no worries. That's kind of the point of live. You can totally ask them now. So whether you're here on Instagram or here on Facebook, you can ask them. The replay will be up for 24 hours, so if you liked this and you want to share it, you can totally tell someone about it. I am a little bit behind on converting these into blog posts, but I do try and do that as well, so the questions are reflected there. Okay, so I am going to jump into these questions. What is the best way to go about getting a budget if you don't, it was kind of, there was a weird spelling part in there. What is the best way to go about getting a budget if you don't know general pricing? Okay, so this is a tricky one to answer because you can't really set a realistic budget if you don't know what things cost. So you can start with doing some research, going online, reading some really good blog posts in your market. So we're in Manitoba, so read some blog posts in Manitoba. So I put out a really good What Weddings Cost in Manitoba. I think that's literally what it's called, What Weddings Cost in Manitoba blog post. And I try and update it every year because inflation and things change. So I put that out. You can go over to the blog and have a read. It gives you general ranges of pricing to hire professionals for your wedding. Now, it doesn't include hiring frienders or that sort of stuff. I'm a professional, so I come from a professional stand on who to hire because I want you to have the best of the best for your wedding, and that doesn't necessarily come with a crazy high price point, but it comes with realistic expectations. So that is a really good place to start, is blogs like that that inform you about what's real and what you should really expect. 99% of the time when couples meet with me, they don't have a realistic budget. Having done so many weddings and events, having been in the industry for so long, doing so many budgets, serving florists and linen companies, and literally, like, I've done this with floral friends before, bringing in photos and being like, can you tell me what this costs? Let's chat through this. I need to be able to understand ranges of things. The last thing I want to do is to go to a meeting with a client and show the florist or the designer or whoever photos thinking that it will fit in the bride's budget. Meanwhile, now that person's in a weird situation that they have to kind of like pop the bubble of the bride or tell the bride she needs to up her budget. I don't want that. So I spend a lot of time researching, understanding, getting a realistic idea so I can coach my clients on what's real. So with our full planning clients, we spend a couple meetings just digging into the budget and going over, like, what flowers do you like? What do you like here? What's your vision for your dress? What's your vision for your linens? What might you want here? Did you see something on Pinterest you like that you want to look over? And kind of telling them, like, well, that's what this costs this. If that's what you want, then we need to budget for that, but we can take a little bit of money from this area and get creative there. So we spend a lot of time working on that with our couples. So I guess my long answer is hire a wedding planner, because we can tell you fairly quickly and we can set a realistic budget for you from the beginning. If you're not looking to hire a full planning wedding planner, of course, I'm going to recommend day of coordination, or not day of coordination, because it's not just the day of. That's another topic. But next to that, just do your research, go in and find blog posts that actually are legitimate for your area, for Manitoba. There are lots of blog posts out there for the States, for BC, for wherever, that aren't accurate, that won't help you, that will set you up for disaster. They're not going to be realistic for you, and that's going to be really, really confusing and a big letdown, and it's going to cause you stress. So next question, struggling to pick a color for our wedding, exclamation point, exclamation, like, wedding. What are your favorite schemes? Well, I love light blue. I love light blue mixed with green and yellow and like really fun colors with a nice neutral, like grounding it. I really love orange used properly and yellow and those bright colors mixed with, you could go into the golds and the champagnes. This guy is hiding out with me, so he's moving me around a little bit. Marshall is using power tools and he is really afraid of them, so I'm sorry he's gonna be bumping into the video a couple times. This is just life with a kid, right? For a baby. So I really love those. I do love purple. However, like that bright royal purple or like that plum purple, I feel like that has been very popular for a really long time. So if you're wanting something fresh and new, I would stay away from that. Go into the mauve, go into like mauve and champagne, or mauve and like caramel colors with a nice grounding neutral in there. I guess my biggest thing, instead of maybe suggesting a color scheme to you or a palette, would be to pick something that has longevity, something that you love but isn't too like crazy trendy or too much in that direction, something that you're gonna like in a few years. Yes, we all look back on something at our wedding, we're like, ooh, why did I pick that? But have something with a little bit of a classic element or thread mixed through it. Yeah, hopefully that helps. It is very, very hard. I would also take your personality and bring it into your wedding. So if purple's your favorite color, find a way to bring that in, but not let it overpower the wedding or the color scheme or anything like that. Have it as an accent maybe, or switch your bright purple that you love into a different shade of purple to make it a more contemporary look or something like that. Also consider your season. You don't want to necessarily pick like fall colors for a summer wedding or fall colors for a winter wedding, or really spring colors for winter wedding. Bright, vibrant colors for winter weddings can sometimes feel very harsh. So you want to make sure that you balance that correctly. Again, working with a planner or designer will help you with that. We definitely keep people away from going too over the board, going into kitschy, and like making sure that everything vibes together and it flows really nicely and it gives the atmosphere that you want and the feeling that you want. So hopefully that helped there. I'm not getting married until 2022, but I'm already overwhelmed. When should I hire a wedding planner? You can hire one right now. There's no reason to wait. We start with our clients wherever they're at. So even with our full planning package, because of the way we formatted it, they can hire us whenever. So you could hire us right now, and we could start planning now. And what we do is we scale our planning and our structure of the planning with the amount of time you have left in your engagement. So it doesn't matter if it's in 2022, you can hire us now. Sorry, now he's using a nailer. I'll show you later. He's building our pantry and it was the only night. Schedules sometimes don't line up. This is life. So you can hire us now. We start with the big things like your venue and your photographer and your videographer and your florist, and then we break down everything else over the remaining time in the engagement. So we work with what time you have, with what trips you have. If you're pregnant and you're having a baby while you're engaged, taking breaks for that, taking breaks for Christmas. We structure it with what we have to work with, so that there isn't stress, so that we can alleviate that, so that we can adjust accordingly to make it like a nice, enjoyable experience for you. So hire a planner already. Hire us already. Yeah, just there's no reason to wait. The more time you have with us, the better we can support you. We can jump on board at any point. It doesn't matter too much. Hi, Lauren. But the more time that we have, the better we can do our job. We do like to be able to space things out. We do like to be able to have the luxury of time so that you can get all the vendors you really want. But if you wait, that's okay. We just adjust accordingly. So that's not something I would necessarily worry too much about. But in your case, 2022, you have so much time. Just hire a planner already. Statistically, planners save you between 5 to 10% in your budget. So the sooner you hire one, the more that they can help you with the budget management, with the venue sourcing, with finding the right vendors, with design, with getting your head around everything, because it kind of sounds like you're probably jumping all over the place and not really too sure where to even start. And that can really like be very stressful and also cost you a ton of time. And then all of a sudden you have a year left or 6 months left and you're like, oh, I didn't get anything done because I'm just stressed. So hire now. What was the other question? There's a couple more questions that came in, which was really great. I always love it when I get some ahead of time. How do you keep track of everything? Okay, so that question is like slightly vague. So I'm gonna maybe answer it in a few sections. I use a couple management software tools in a few strategic places that I find helpful. There are so many different ones out there, but I've tested them. Some don't work, some don't make sense, and I don't find them beneficial to myself or my clients, so I don't use them. I use a really great email management system called Boomerang. It literally will send an email back to my inbox if I haven't heard from the recipient, and I can tell it when to bring it back to me, which is so helpful because so much of what I do is time sensitive because you want to keep planning on track. It can pause my inbox. It can delay. It can delay sending out emails, which is really great because sometimes I work in the evening and I don't want to send them out that late. It just is really, really helpful for multiple reasons. It just helps me keep on track and keep my clients on track, which is really great. I keep track of a lot of things with Google Docs, a lot of things with iCal. I use my iCal like nobody's business. It is wonderful. I'm able to track things and organize things and put reminders in and schedule meetings and color code. It is brilliant. If you just use tools you have, well, that is very helpful. Client-wise, I have a big old master spreadsheet, like planning timeline sort of checklist, if you will, that I created years ago when I first started, that I've kind of just made more functional over time just to work really well with the planning that I need to get done with clients. I've got some onboarding is what you would call it in the industry of like bringing clients in and certain steps I take to get them set up, to get them organized. So I have kind of onboarding checklists, again, you could call them. I recently took on Calendly, which is really great. I really wanted to find something that made it easier for my clients to book meetings. So they literally can click a link and see all the dates and times I'm available and all the ranges, which is wonderful. So that's kind of how I keep track of things. Hopefully that answers that. If you're asking something more specific, type it away and I will dig into it a little bit more. How do you pick a wedding planner? How do you pick a wedding planner? Great question. There are a few things that I would recommend when picking a wedding planner, and some of these with any vendor picking them. So I'll start with the wedding planner specific ones. So you really want to make sure that your wedding planner has experience. You want to make sure that they know what they're doing. They have managed multiple budgets. They know how to track a budget. They know what things cost. One of the biggest tools in having a wedding planner is knowing you have someone you can trust that actually knows what things cost. Like I said, wedding planners are supposed to be saving you money. They're supposed to be taking that stress off of you. You need to know that they know what they're doing. So when you meet with wedding planners, you need to talk to them about maybe ask them some skills about that, or some questions about those skills. Ask them about what sort of budgets they've managed, how they've troubleshooted problems with clients. I welcome those questions. Ask me those questions. If you're coming in for a consult with me, ask me whatever you like. These are questions that, one, show me that you actually take the process seriously, and two, you actually have thought about what I am going to be offering you, and you want to make sure that I'm offering you the right thing. So you really want to make sure that they know how to manage budgets. They know what things cost in your area, in your market. Thanks for the thumbs up. You want to make sure that they get that they understand that, because that's one of the biggest things you're going to trust them with is your money. We do not pay bills for our clients. They pay all of their vendors themselves, but we help them create a realistic budget and understand what things are going to cost. Well before we even start meeting with vendors, we create that so that when we go and meet with vendors, they don't even have to think of a sticker shock scenario. They go and meet with a linen supplier and have a pretty good idea of what to expect. They go and meet with a florist, we go with them and have a pretty good idea, because we have had a 1 to 2-hour conversation about flowers ahead of time and what flowers cost and what to expect and what's in season. Yes, of course, every once in a while we get things wrong and flower costs go up and we're surprised by something, but we're not off by thousands, we're off by a few hundred maybe. So there's things like that that you really want to formulate good questions to talk to a wedding planner about and ask them those questions. Experience, training, expertise, ask them some troubleshooting questions. I got a question the other day about like, what if a wedding planner hasn't worked at my venue? That makes me nervous. So I will put a bit of a caveat to this. If you've got a good wedding planner that has been in the industry for a long time and works at all sorts of different tent venues and has been at all sorts of different tent venues and done weddings, and that's their specialty, and then there's a new tent venue that just opened up. Sorry, all these messages are popping up. Hopefully it's not messing up this for you guys. Hopefully you're okay. Someone give me a thumbs up if we're if that messed it up. And then all of a sudden a new tent venue opens up and they haven't worked there yet. Well, I mean, that's not something I would stress about. They have the expertise, they have the experience, they just haven't had the opportunity. So if they have the experience, the expertise, the track record of great weddings in venues similar, I don't think that that's a factor that you should consider. And also, if you're hiring a wedding planner, they have so much time over your engagement to go to the venue, to talk to the venue, to figure out troubleshooting issues, to figure out what the venue's like, to figure out what's happening at the venue, what limitations that venue has. They'll have access to all of your contracts. We look over all of that. We figure all of that out ahead of time. And we every wedding is a learning experience to better for the next, for the next, for the next. There are things that in general, you should really consider for all vendors, wedding planners, and anything. You should consider if they have insurance. That's really important. Professional vendors should always have insurance. Do they have a contract? I feel like this should go without saying, but they need to have some sort of really good contract so that you're protected as the client and they're protected as your vendor, as your wedding planner. And also the terms are very nicely laid out. You want to make sure that that's thorough. If you read a contract and you're not sure and you don't feel something is in there that should be, that's okay. Ask them, tell them. When I first started out, I had some lawyer clients and clients. Who was it? There was another one that wasn't a lawyer, but he was, I think it was CEO of, I forget what company, but there was some stuff that I really think that you should add this to your contract. I would really like to add it to ours. Would you be okay with that? I'm like, yes, absolutely. Thank you for the suggestion. And sometimes when you're starting out, there's certain things, even if you bring your contract to a lawyer, there might be some things that they don't suggest you have because they're not in the industry. That's something that can be very easy to, I add clauses to my contract all the time to make sure everyone's protected. So contracts, lots of contracts. Make sure there's contracts and good contracts. You want to make sure they have insurance, good contracts. You want to make sure they have really great referrals from vendors, from clients. Go look at our Google reviews. If you're at all wondering and you're considering hiring us, go look at our vendor reviews, go look at our Google reviews, or even I think you can go and look at who we have reviewed. So if you're looking for referrals that way, you can go and look at how we have reviewed. I take a lot of time to review vendors that we really love and to make sure that they're getting some love because they do such a good job. So make sure that they have really good reviews. Make sure any vendor you're considering has really good reviews. As far as wedding planners go, I would make sure that you ask them what their, if you get sick, what happens, what's their policy for that. Make sure they have some sort of team around them, an assistant coordinator, another lead coordinator, something that can help if need be. If you've got a larger wedding, how are they going to manage that? Lastly, I think that you really need to consider personality. I could keep going on and on. There's so many other things that you should consider when hiring a wedding planner, but those are some of the key ones I would think of. Personality, however, I would probably put at the top of your list. Some people are going to say that you should really consider money, and how much they cost. I think that their cost goes hand in hand with their experience, their expertise, and what they're bringing to the table. Not every wedding planner is the same. Not every offering is the same. So it is definitely up to you as the consumer to kind of compare. And if you're meeting with multiple planners, I always say this to clients that want to come and meet with us. If you're meeting with multiple planners and then you meet with us and meet with someone else and it brings up another question, come back and ask us. That's not a problem. It can be really confusing because offerings are a little bit different here and there, and then you have to compare that to the pricing, and that can be really baffling. And then in the end, how do you know how much you're spending, and like, are you getting the service you really need? So you want to make sure that the personality, the experience goes along with what they're offering and your investment would be. Sorry, I got sidetracked about money. Personality. I spend a lot of time with my clients. I would venture to say I spend more time with my clients than with my husband, definitely in the summertime. And you want to make sure that you like me. If you're considering hiring me, considering hiring our team, you want to make sure that we have fun, that you like me, that you trust me, or that you can learn to trust me, because I mean, consults are only an hour. You're going to know if you like me, but you might, trust is something that is a little bit earned, and I can only show you so much in a meeting, and then you can decide, yeah, I could totally trust her. I can trust her in like building this process together. So you need to know if that's something that you can do with that person. There are definitely clients that I would recommend booking with someone else because we're not a good match. I want to make sure that the right people book with me. They like me, they like the team, they like our process, and you want to make sure that when you're interviewing that this is a person that can really get on board with your vision and like really bring it to life and bring you creative ideas and help you manage your budget. You want to know that they have the confidence and experience to do that, and their personality is fun, and you're going to have a good time. I'm a big part of a lot of engagements, and this engagement time is something you're not going to get back, and that is something I do not take lightly. So personality, it's tops on the list of what you should consider when hiring a wedding planner. Okay. Why did you start being a wedding planner? Good night. That is a loaded question that usually goes along with wine. But I started becoming a wedding planner. I was in events for 13 years, or I've been in events for 13 years. I actually started my business 8 years ago. So if I would track back, probably before I got married, I was really interested in it. I really wanted to pursue it. I had gotten some really bad advice from a novice planner that said that you could never do it full time, you can't make a living doing this. And so I kind of put it on the shelf for a while. But I've always been really good at this, and I've got a really good equal creative and organizational brain. And so I kept coming back around, and then finally I'm like, I just need to give it a go. And so I had already done creative events internships. I had already done a little bit of schooling. I had went back to school for PR and marketing and decided, you know what, PR and marketing is not my jam. I need to get into event planning. So I kind of just jumped right into it. I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version because I actually want to talk about the topic I picked for today. But it kept coming back around. Long and the short of it is God kept bringing it back around. And he's like, go do your mission. And so I just did. I just started. And I just did my best to get connected in the industry, meet really great people, partner with really great vendors, started advertising, jumped into it. I started with a really bad website, just kept upgrading as I could, learning more, formatting more, adjusting what I did, adjusting my offerings, finding my focus, which is really stress management and alleviating stress so couples can enjoy their day. That is probably by far the most important thing to me, is taking whatever stress I can out of the process entirely by good management so that couples can enjoy their engagement, enjoy their wedding day, and just have fun and build good memories and not look back on it and be like, oh, that was the worst experience ever. Like, that stress was horrible. I don't want that. I want to get rid of that as much as I can. So yeah, that's a little bit of the why. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for any other career. I love it. What is the one thing that gets forgotten at weddings? Oh, I feel like people forget to write their thank you speech sometimes, no matter how many times I remind them. And I send a little reminder email the week before the wedding as well, like, here's things to not forget. don't forget this. And I send like links in there as well. I had one time someone forgot to buy their marriage license. That was a little bit stressful. I would have to say that on a whole, most of my weddings don't forget things. Most of my clients don't forget things. This could be a little bit, I will take some credit for that because I definitely push quite a lot to make sure I have the information I need, make sure that they're prepared. Again, because part of like the core of who I am in what I do for them is to take care of them and to alleviate stress. So I would definitely say that not a lot of things are generally forgotten. I did have one time the rings got forgotten. They got left behind, and I was actually the commissioner as well for that wedding. So the groomsman, best man, literally leaned over like as I was about to go to it and be like, the rings aren't here. They're not here. And I was like, okay, and you're just gonna hold hands and look into each other's eyes. And I just read the whole thing and we just kept going. Neither of them, like, they didn't skip a beat. I don't think they even noticed. Actually, the bride didn't even notice. Afterwards, after the ceremony was over, a kiss was done, went down the aisle. We're walking towards the venue. I'm just informing her of a couple logistical things. And then she's like, wait a minute, Amanda, where's my ring? And I was like, oh, we are gonna do that later. We can do a little moment right before the reception starts, make it fun, make it funny, and just be like, best man forgot the rings. We're gonna just do this part again. She's like, ah, sure, sounds good. Some people might have been stressed about that. Some people have been like, oh, let's not bother. Let's just put them on when they get here. But yeah, that happened. It happened, and we just roll with it, right? Sometimes guest books get forgotten if someone's created it or something and they're bringing it instead of it already being the possession of the couple. I do not like to rely on other people bringing in stuff that are like friends or family because it cannot seem like a very significant thing to them. And they got a lot of other things going on. So sometimes that can be a variable that causes things to get forgotten more easily. So yeah. All right. Those were all the questions that came in ahead of time. Thank you for all of you that sent those in. That's wonderful. If you've got questions, go ahead, type them now. I'm gonna jump into the actual topic that I picked for today, which is venue coordinators versus wedding planners. So not versus as in we're fighting it out, but what's the difference? Is there a difference? Why should I hire a wedding planner? My venue has a coordinator. And that's a question I get sometimes. Why? Why do I need you? They don't say it quite like that. But why do I need you if my venue has a coordinator? Well, there's a few very key differences, and I don't want you to be disappointed, so we're going to chat it out. So literally, the differences, if I would put it into one sentence, a venue wedding coordinator is responsible for coordinating details about your actual event at the venue itself, whereas your wedding planner is responsible for managing all of the details of your entire wedding. Sometimes I don't even feel like I should have to say more, but I'm going to explain this a little bit. A venue coordinator is hired, works at the venue. Their responsibility is the venue. The food, possibly the liquor if that's included. Some venues have what they might call all-inclusive, so they offer some linens, some specialty dishes, some things like that. They might include some sort of credit for certain florists, or might have some recommendations for florists, things like that. So they are responsible for those things. They are not responsible for your full wedding budget, how to manage it, how to create it, what's a realistic budget for you. Your wedding planner is. They don't create a full timeline of the whole day, start to finish, contacting all of your vendors to make sure that they know their times they're supposed to be there and their responsibilities. Your wedding planner does. They do not schedule your ceremony, your cocktail hour timing, your family photos, your reception timing with all of its details. Your wedding planner does. They schedule the dinner-related elements to get your dinner out to guests and your wine out to guests. They will schedule just those elements. They are not thinking about the, forget what the word is, intricacies of your family dynamics and whose speech should go first and how we need to troubleshoot if something like that happens where someone gets upset and doesn't want to do their speech and what happens next. They do not manage your MC. They do not manage your wedding party. We do. Wedding planners do. So also on another note, if a venue says, we plan your wedding for you, but you're not actually paying them to plan your wedding, the average wedding takes 100 to 150 hours to plan. I'm not sure how that venue is making any money if they are saying they're planning your wedding. And sorry, he's stressing out because of the power tools again. How is that venue making any money if they are planning your wedding and spending 100 to 150 hours with you? They're not. So these are questions that you need to ask. I will add though, there are some venues that have amazing venue coordinators that answer a lot of questions, tell you a lot of good information. There are a lot of great WPIC trained venue coordinators out there that have more knowledge than the average. They're wonderful people. I'm not discrediting that at all, but they are not your wedding planner. They are not full scope. They are venue related. So you need to make sure that you understand that. When you're working with the wedding planner, they're doing your whole budget. They're doing your design. Sorry, if you're hiring us, I can't speak to what everybody offers. If you're hiring us, we're doing your full wedding budget. We're doing your wedding design. We're helping you pick colors. We're helping you find all the right vendors. We're negotiating pricing for you where we can. We're making sure that everything works together, that there's cohesion. These are not things that venue coordinators do. We work really closely with the venue coordinator, with all of your vendors to make sure everything works together. We also are working with your MC, your family, your wedding party, all of those people to really make sure that everything is functioning well together. And we are with you from the point you hire us, which hopefully is more than a year from your wedding. It's okay if it's only a few months, that's fine. But we are there from the moment you hire us with monthly meetings, planning, with going to vendor meetings, all the way through end of the night and even into teardown if you hire us for that. These are things that your venue coordinator doesn't do. There are key times where they check in with you about payments to them, about menu choices, about final guest counts. They'll also check in if you've got some credits with them for like a florist or a baker and who you hired. But they are not making sure you hired them. They are not making sure you went to that meeting. They're not managing any of those contracts for you. We manage all of our full planning clients' contracts, all of that, their payments, all of those things. The venue coordinator is making sure you paid them. That's it. So there's a lot of differences. There's really quite a lot. So I want to make sure that you're educated on this so that you don't come to your wedding day thinking you have all this support when you don't, thinking you're going to get a timeline made up when you're really only getting a menu related timeline and some suggestions on when to have speeches. But when it comes to speeches, we're going to ask you about 50 questions. Who do you want to have speak? What kind of speaker are they? Do you want to sandwich anything in between? When do you want to be dancing by? Do you want to sneak up for twilight photos? What sort of elements do you want to have in that speech? Do you think they're going to want to have like a shoe game or like trivia or something? Is your MC going to announce them or how's this going to look? There's a lot of questions we ask to formulate a proper timeline for your wedding. These are not things a venue coordinator does. They are for the venue. So I hope that answers that. Venue coordinators are a wonderful part of your wedding planning. They are a great person to have on your team, but they are not full scope like a wedding planner is. That's not something that they do. That's not something they're getting hired to do. So you need to make sure you understand the difference and you need to make sure you hire the support that you need. Okay, do I have any other notes I wanted to cover there? Because I do prepare for these and I do take notes. I think I covered it. I think I'm ready to get off my soapbox. I think I need to do something with this dog because he is stressed out. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for those of you that caught the replay. Those of you that still have questions and caught the replay and my conversation has brought up more questions for you, you can message me, DM me. I usually do follow-up Insta stories with any questions that come in later, so no worries. Ask me whatever questions you like. I'd be happy to answer them. I also do Q&A blog posts over on the blog, so you can head over there and have a read through that. There's also tons of other resources over on the blog of different wedding planning related things, budget management, timeless management, all sorts of stuff there. We are also still booking 2020. If you go a few slides back in our Insta stories, you're going to see availability and you can message or email me and I would love to chat. So have a wonderful night, guys. I got to get to helping Marshall on the pantry install and calm this little guy down. Okay, thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.